Um, South Africa is a movie. We live in a drama. It's a series. Every day you will be shocked by something new.
My fellow beautiful South Africans, in today's video I have something very, very concerning. Apparently there's some people out there who want students who just finished their studies to be blacklisted because of the debt that they incur during their studies. Now tell me, how does it make sense looking at the youth unemployment rate here in South Africa? And instead of coming up with solutions to solve this issue of unemployment in this country, you come up with more ways to add on the unemployment. Because if students will now be burdened by the debt that they incurred during their time in these higher institutions of education, it simply means these students won't be able to rent apartments, they won't be able to buy cars, they won't be able to have basic accounts for things that they need because they are blacklisted. On top of that, instead of the government trying by all means to empower these newly graduated students, they are just killing their potential by making sure that they won't participate in our economy. How are they going to participate in the economy when they are burdened by a huge debt that they need to pay? And this thing is just only going to add on top of this crisis of unemployment that we have here in South Africa. Because remember, some jobs won't approve you if you are blacklisted. I mean, that is basic common sense. Some jobs, if you apply for some jobs and you are blacklisted, you won't get that job. So what about the students who are out there in varsity doing these courses like that, where you will never get a job if you are blacklisted? Then it simply means when that person is done with their studies, he won't be able to get a job. And since he won't be able to get a job, it means he won't be able to pay back the debt. Which means he will stay blacklisted. People who came up with this idea, and actually thought, you know what, let me try and push this thing so that I can add on this issue of unemployment in this country. I think these people are just looking at the United States of America and how they are doing things, and they want to bring that thing here in South Africa. Because what they want to do of this thing, blacklisting students, is something that is being done by the United States. The students there are always in debt. You know, they are struggling. Go do research on how these student debts are affecting the people of America, and then they want to bring that thing here in South Africa so that it can affect us as South Africans. And for us, it's going to be worse because we are not like America. America is a developed country. We are still a developing country as South Africa. If you're going to bring something like that here in South Africa, it's just going to add on top of the poverty that we are experiencing here in South Africa. Because it really doesn't make any sense. Instead of people advocating for the students to get employment immediately they are done with their studies, there are people who are out there advocating for these students to enter into debt that most likely will be there for the rest of their lives. Looking at the state of our country right now, how are they going to pay that debt? Which jobs are they going to get to pay that debt? Instead of speaking about free education, instead of making sure that anyone who is qualified to go and study a particular course can do that without being stressed about finances. Those are the goals that we should be striving for as a country. But no, people are looking for more ways to add on the crisis that we are experiencing here in South Africa. This is very, very sad, people. It's really, really sad. So let me stitch a video here for you so that you can get the whole overview of what is happening here in South Africa. And then you will tell me on the comment section down below, what do you think about this nonsense that they are trying to do? I would really appreciate to hear your own thoughts and opinions. But then, that is what I had in this episode of The Spotlight. If you enjoyed this video or you learned something new, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel. I would really, really appreciate it. My name is Emmanuel and this is Mzansi Versity, the place where we transform lives through knowledge and information. Let's meet again on another video.
All right, let's go to this story then. The South African Union of Students has rejected the proposed amendments to the National Credit Act. They're saying that the situation will worsen unemployment among young people. The Department of Trade, Industry and Competition has submitted a draft proposal which would allow student debt the debt you incur as a student to then be listed with credit bureaus. This then means that students will come straight out of university and find themselves either blacklisted or with adverse credit records because of that debt. For more on this, we're joined by the South African University Students Association's spokesperson, Tato Masekowa, who joins us now. Tato, appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us. How bad is this for students? Because you come out of varsity thinking, well, I have the opportunity to now get myself somewhere, but now you'll have this debt that hangs around your neck and the inability to even move forward because of the adverse credit record.
No, and I thank Guarabile, and thanks for having us. Look, this is bad for the country. This is bad for young graduates. This is bad for young professionals who in fact find themselves in this crisis. Rather, even the proposal is spit on the face of the fees must fall generation. Moreover, this fact affects mostly young people who are from poor background and the working class, majority black to be more precise, because education is expensive, my brother, and once education is expensive, we know that we strive to get education. We strive to better the situations around ourselves. And what we have seen is that the proposal seeks to blacklist. You can imagine, once you are blacklisted as a young professional, already automatically your employment rate, your credit to buy a car, to buy a house, to buy anything on a credit, you're already at the back foot. And this in particular, you would have seen that it seeks to bring young students who literally have just graduated into debt and to recycle them and to drown them into debt. We see it as a way that the government is failing on its own duties to at least create meaningful ways to find ways to scrap the historic debt. We know that the people who do not have money to pay are most of the time, if not all the time, people who are poor, from poor background, the working class, and that affects them badly. And this, in fact, as the South African Union of Students, we reject it with the content that it has, and it must be reversed without even thinking twice.
Yeah, one might ask then, what current policies are helpful in this situation? And, are there ones that could positively affect the ability for students to actually get debt and not work? Because at this point in time, you get this credit or you get this debt to you, and ultimately it just puts you on the back foot, as we've been noted. So how do current credit policies already affect students' ability to fund their education?
Look, automatically once there is no better policy in place that we believe is progressive, that speaks on a student's ability to repay while they do not have money. It is our view that students must not pay, like the fees must fall generation have indicated, the fees must fall, and etc. and etc. And without even taking it further, historic debts. We are from a conference of South, the 9th conference of South, and one of our key aspects is that the sector on its own and the government must really look into scraping out fees completely out of the system, because once a student owes you, you're already at the back foot. And there is nothing glorifying about owing a debt. In fact, we want students, after you graduate, you must start on the same foot as everybody else. Start making your own life seeming. Now, if you're already starting to work, and at the same time you already don't have, you're starting to work, you don't have, on the same level, you're not starting on the same level, you already have a debt of some sort along your neck. This means that you must start paying the debt, starting to set up your life. Yeah. Already we know that the gap between the poor and the rich has already vastly increased, and that has put us at a very disadvantage. And therefore it was our view and our call that debts must not be there, for students in particular. This must be an incentive for students to say, if you go to school, we scrape out this debt so that you can actively participate in the economy of the country. And this must be the message preached that we think is best. Not that students must be subjected to repaying of debts, because that we see as a regressive, anti-poor, anti-progressive, and anything anti-progressive.
Tato, how much could this influence dropout rates in universities?
Look, it already, you know very well that the dropout rate is very high, and most of the time is based on access. That speaks to access, meaning financial exclusion, which is the core fundamental problem in as far as dropouts is concerned. Once you put this in place, you make the youth of the country and students in particular to lose hope in education. And therefore, it can vastly increase the dropout rate in the country and affect the students in general very negatively. Therefore, that's why we are calling for the immediate withdrawal of this proposal. That's why we, in fact, reject it.
There's the other side of this, Tato, that I must then bring up as well in the interest of fair journalism here, which is that at the end of a varsity term, somebody who may owe debt, whether it be to NSFAS, which we've continued to speak about on this channel, or any other debt, then perhaps doesn't pay it back. There's a large amount of outstanding debt. And I know you're speaking about cutting out that debt and clearing it. But there's so many people who haven't paid it, which then impacts the ability for somebody else to then have that ability to then study in future because of that funding. What other proposals would you then recommend for a situation like this?
So, of course, you put it very well, Warabile, my brother, that maybe your inability to pay might likely affect the other person. But there are multiple factors that affects this. You can only pay if you are employed. We have seen unemployment is on the rise almost, and the worst case scenario is that now you find almost everybody being affected by unemployment. That speaks to all sectors, all students in the sector. Basically, no one is safe from unemployment, and you cannot pay if you're unemployed. Right, and these guys keep on looking for money, even from people who are not paid. When you look at that, it already is a shift of responsibility from the government. But without any looking like we also are on the table to bring out solution. One of the solutions that must be thought about is that maybe you know how if you are to, when you finished your degree, the government should be in position to create an employment opportunity for you. Maybe that's one of the ways that could be looked at. But you are left alone. You have taken a loan. You've got a degree, but you don't have employment. You get employment for 3 months. And after that, you are retrenched or something else happens. Companies are closing down. The economy is bad. There's nothing good happening in as far as opportunities for young people are the case. And that, of course, has an impact on the inability to pay for young people. And in fact, this could have not been the situation, provided that there is a viable solution in as far as the funding crisis is concerned. And you would have seen we've got a lot of students who are NSFAS beneficiaries to date without degrees. There is an understanding that people who are coming from NSFAS do not have means to an end. And if you don't have a degree, some employers will not even take you because they might believe that your degree is not valid for whatever reasons, or even not even shortlist you, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, look, Tato, I've only got 30 seconds. Very quickly, how do you mobilize students around this? In 30 seconds, please. So
what we do is that as a union of students, we work with SRCs across the country. So the only way we work is we lobby SRCs to join the call, to withdraw, and of course bring a solution on the table, and then we take it from there. But without even thinking twice, the proposed amendment must be rejected, must be withdrawn with immediate effect. Minister Pakstau must reconsider this and withdraw that with immediate effect, and consult the youth, progressive youth in the country who can offer the best solution around this than to want to criminalize education.